the more you fail, the more money you're going to make. By the time you finish watching this video, I'm going to give you conclusive proof, evidence that you will come to the realization in your own mind that you need to bring in more failure into your life, into your business, so you will allow yourself to be able to succeed. This video, for some reason, was one of the hardest ones for me to put together because I had a script all laid out and everything. I was going to even do it at my whiteboard, and then I decided not to do it, mainly because I just could not feel that I was going to be able to get across what I needed to get across to you, to be able to allow you to move forward. And so what I ended up doing is, and this video will be pretty short, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. We talk about business, life, success, and all levels of your life on this channel. So what I want to briefly talk about is you gotta be willing to fail. Now, you've probably heard that with other people, motivational speakers on YouTube, all different people telling you, failure is part of success. But I don't think that people really deep dive into the failures that companies and people have made to be able to become successful. And something that I've learned in my life is that the more failures you have trying to get something done, when you finally succeed, it pays for all of the failures, plus more. Like, it wouldn't, having failures that would pay for that, and then a success that would pay for that failure one for one, that wouldn't be worth it. That wouldn't be worth it. But the way that it works, this is the way that it works, and it's crazy. But first, what I want to do is I want to talk about a book, The Diary of a CEO. You should get this. My wife and I, we listen to this while we're driving around in the Rolls Royce, or we're driving around in the Jeep, or we're driving around in the Range Rover, or when we're driving around in the G-Wagon, G63. Stephen Bartlett emphasizes that the importance of embracing failure as a strategic component of success. He suggests that to outpace competitors, one must increase their rate of failure, as each failure provides valuable insights and accelerates learning. Bartlett advises creating a pro-failure philosophy within organizations by removing unnecessary bureaucracy, fixing incentives, promoting and firing based on willingness to take risk, and accurately measure failure rates using key performance indicators, KPIs. He also distinguished between two types of decisions. This is where it's going to get very interesting, and I believe that this is what most people don't talk about, and this is what I was going to get into in my video. Even in his book, he kind of glossed over what I'm about to discuss right now that was in his book. He distinguishes between two types of decisions. Type 1 is irreversible, and type 2 is reversible. Bartlett argues that most decisions are type 2s, reversible. That means that if you make a decision, try something, doesn't work, you can go back, no problem. Irreversible is where you make a decision and you can't go back. I can give you one irreversible decision that I made in 2023. I decided not to have a printed publication for my advertising company. It was really an irreversible decision. When I made the decision, it was left up to me to make that final decision. And then I had a discussion with my wife when I had made the decision, and she ended up agreeing with it because she had to sign off on it too, is that we decided not to be in the print advertising business, that we would go 100% digital. That's an irreversible decision because it affects the way that a business had been ran for 34 years. You can equate that to something that happened to Sears, where it's just, Sears saw the writing on the wall, and then at some point they were like, we either got to close or we got to change. What happened with me is we had to change, which was an irreversible decision to stop printing, and turned out to be a great, excellent decision because it opened us up to a whole new world of being able to help business owners in all 50 states, not just limited to our area. But now, in the video that I wanted to make earlier using the whiteboard, what I want to get across to you, this is very important. You please hear me out on this. This is very important because he went into it and he talked about the decisions, that you got to make the decision. Here is what I see the problem is that we don't understand that our decisions come from our beliefs. Where did we get our beliefs from? This is what hurts people from being able to make decisions at all. So if you are trying to make a decision and something inside of you is stopping you, sometimes you know what it is, sometimes you don't. Maybe you have, maybe you have a business partner or your spouse or a friend, and they're just like, you need to just, what's the matter? You need to go for it. And there's something within you that won't allow you to go for it. You have some sort of belief that is stopping you from being able to make that decision. And the thing about it is that you never know what that belief is because you don't know where you got that belief from. So what I've told people to do, and you can refer back to some of my other videos on beliefs, is that you need to find out if you're really making a decision or if you're going off of what I would consider like your subconscious computer, which was programmed usually by your parents, teachers, people that cared about you or cared for you as you grew up. And then as you got some of those ideas of those beliefs, you started to stack on experiences that you went through in your life, and it formulated into a fully formed, as you can, what I want you to imagine is you're building a house and you have a foundation, and then you start putting pieces on, and then all of a sudden you got a full house. And here's the crazy thing. So you might be saying, well, Steve, what does that have to do with being able to make more money, to be able to do some, make a decision to test something? This is the thing, is that the structure for coming to the decision process is the same. So if you're deciding to ask someone to marry you, you're deciding to get something to eat, you're deciding to buy a car, you're deciding to go into business, you're deciding to run an ad for your business, you're deciding to change your website. All of that stuff is structured. The structure of you making that decision is the same. It's not like you don't choose to decide to, you don't use a different thought pattern to make a decision to buy a car. You don't use a different thought pattern to ask someone to marry you. The brain, the mind, utilizes a system, a process, and you've built onto that process. And even if something is, give you two examples. Buying a car and doing something for your business. Two totally different things, right? You're going to use the same process, and let me show you how it works. So if you're trying to make a decision to buy a car, you're trying to make a decision to advertise your business, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go through a subconscious, you don't even understand that you're even doing this, is that you're going to try, like, answer a question before you're even conscious of the question of, will this make you feel good, and how will you, will you feel good, and does this decision feel right, before you even consciously know that you've even really came to a decision on the question. And then based off of how you feel, this is where the body you start to have a conscious reaction. Based on how your body starts to feel, is going to bring up similar situations. Based off of those similar situations that you've made decisions on in the past, you're going to make a decision based off of how you feel with the decision that's in front of you that you are getting ready to make. So even if the decision is best for you, based off of how you felt and how that process came about inside of you to get to a conscious yes or no on making your decision, or a conscious movement of your body to start working on that, on making that decision, you've already made the decision in your mind and in your body. Sometimes we will start to do the thing that we made a decision on, and we procrastinate, and that's because we had already made the decision in our mind not to do it. I know that sounds crazy. That's why I say when you make a decision to do something, you better make sure you really want to do it. You need to ask yourself, do you really want to do it, and be honest with yourself, because this is how we find ourselves in trouble, is you end up doing something and you didn't really want to do it, and then you figure out a way to justify you quitting doing what you just said you wanted to do. So the first steps that you got to do is you have to make a decision on what you want to do. And then you work backwards. And you think about what would be the things that this person would have to do to get to that result. But you're working backwards. So you, like if let's just say that you're a business owner, successful business owner. That means you got to go into the office. You got to run ads for your business. You got to talk to employees. You got to make sure employees are doing what they're supposed to do. You got to make sure the product is delivered or the service is delivered. Like, make a little short list. You don't got to go into everything, but make a short list. And if you're not willing to do any of that, then you don't want to do it. This is how you can get out of doing things that you don't want to do, is you just say, I don't want to have to do all of that. And I've done that for myself. Like, there's been business, people approach me about doing a business, approach me about investing in a business, and I've just learned how to say no. I don't want to do it. Not because the opportunity is not good. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I make a conscious choice not to do it based off of what I believe I want to do. And that's good, and that's an honest decision. So as you work backwards, you're going to get to a spot so you have your goal and you're working backwards to you, because it's ultimately going to get to you. And this is what you're going to have to start to ask yourself. You're going to have to ask yourself, are you making these decisions based off of real beliefs or just installed beliefs? And when I say installed beliefs, it could be from family, friends, teachers, people you came into contact with, people that you respected, counselors, religious advisors, pastors, preachers, rabbis, anyone. You have to be careful of that, because you're not thinking on your own. You are extracting beliefs, and you think that you're making a decision when you're really extracting beliefs from your subconscious computer that were installed from other people. And there was nothing wrong with people installing that because that was how they thought, and they thought that they were protecting you by giving you that information that they got installed from someone else. But now you're grown up, you need to make your own decisions fully. That means when you are fully making decisions, you have to understand where your beliefs came from. Now, it gets scary. It gets really scary. Some of you may not even be able to handle what I'm about to tell you right now. Also, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Some of you may not be able to handle what I'm about to tell you right now because of your worldview of yourself or, well, I'm just going to say it. Regardless if you believe it or not, and I don't tell people what to believe, I tell people to test things out and come to the realization of what they believe is true, because that's part of you being able to make your own decisions. Regardless of your religion, regardless of if you have universal beliefs or have no religion at all, it is understood that if you're religious, there's nothing new under the sun, and God has already written it. If you're universal, there's nothing new under the sun, and it's already written. It's just that God didn't write it. It's just a vibration. And if you don't believe in none of that, you just believe that we're here and then we die and whatever, you still believe that you can make decisions and you can get onto a track of what your decisions are. So you have a cause and effect. If I do this, this should happen. It's like that right or wrong. If I do the right things, I'm going to have the right things happen to me. So if we were to like box that up, that means that for each and every one of us, there are multiple experiences that we can insert ourselves or plug ourselves into. I'll say that again. If we box that up to make it easy for you to absorb, there are multiple experiences, timelines in all of our lives that we can plug into and experience them. So let's take it from a religious aspect. If God already wrote it, that would mean that whatever decision you made, you would be able to plug in to any one of the timelines that God already wrote for you. This is where religious people miss it. This is where universal people, some, not all, miss it. And even people who are atheists miss it, is that they forget about the decision process. If the goal is already existing, if the timelines and the experiences already exist, and all you have to do is plug into it, to the one that you want to happen for you. Some people call this praying on it. Some people with universal, higher vibration. And people who don't believe in neither of those two, cause and effect. If I do this, this should happen for me. But what has not been described is that the decision processes to even get to those positions is one of the hardest things for us to do. One of the hardest things for you to do. Because you think, we think sometimes we're making our own decisions when we are really making decisions based on beliefs. And those beliefs were installed by other people. I'll say that again. The reason why it's hard to make a decision to plug into the timeline that you want, to plug into the vibration that you want, to plug into the cause and effect that you want, is because the decision, the process that you're using to make a decision has beliefs attached to it that were installed by other people. Do those installations help you make the right decisions? Do those thought processes and those beliefs make you believe that you're worthy, make you believe that there's something wrong with what you want to do, make you believe that you can't do it? It could be anything. What I want you to do is I want you to just think of something that you want. And what you can do is you can write down 3 timelines. You can write down a timeline that says, if I plug into this timeline, everything that I want is going to happen to me. And then you can put a goal. Let's make it simple. Let's not make it too difficult. Timeline number 1 is a goal that you want to happen for you. That's number 1. In the middle, make one that's below that goal. And number 3, make one that's worse. Like if we were to think about it this way, number 1 is like you achieve your goal. Number 2 is you stayed the same. And number 3, you're worse. You got worse than what you are right now. Now what I want you to do is I want you to look at your decisions that you would have to make to get to each one of those. Next, what I want you to do is I want you to fill in the blanks of how you would have to believe to get to all those levels. The middle one should be easy because you're already how you have to believe. But I want you to write some things down. And then what I want you to do is I want you to compare the beliefs that you got to have, that you think you got to have to get to the upper level, the beliefs to stay where you're at, and then the beliefs that you would have to downgrade yourself to, or the way that you would have to believe to actually do worse than what you're doing right now. And then what I want you to do is I want you to look at where those beliefs came from. Where do you believe those beliefs came from? So you can understand that they were installed. And if they're installed, if you come to the realization that those beliefs were installed, what realization would you come to in your own mind that you should do next? I'm going to pause for 5 seconds, and then I'm going to give you that answer. If you come to the realization that the beliefs that you have were installed, and what I mean by installed, given to you by parents, family, friends, people you respect, religious counselors, pastors, preachers, whoever. If you come to the realization that they were installed, what would be the next thing that you should believe you could do? The next thing that you should believe that you could do is that you can install your own beliefs. In essence, you will be rewriting your beliefs. Crazy thing about it is that this is done every day through advertising. Have you ever seen a commercial where they're saying something about, a piece of a body part or something that's going on inside of us, and then they make people start to believe that you need that pill if you have that problem, when you didn't even know and was not even aware of the problem? Think about that. That's called an installation. They went to the belief process and installed, is this happening to you? This, they have their own way of doing it. But the end result is they want to get you to take that drug to alleviate the problem that you were not aware of. So in essence, they installed a new belief. You believed the new belief and accepted it as your own belief. And then you took action on what you need to do based on your own belief. And that made you take, in some cases, people would take a pill to alleviate the pain from the belief that they have. And they believe that the pill is the only solution to alleviate that pain. We see this with weight loss. We see this with all the different types of drugs that are out for weight loss. That's one of the most common ways that they get people to buy into weight loss products, and products or services or whatever they're offering. So your homework right now, figure out the beliefs that you have. Understand that there's a process. Regardless of what decision you're going to make, there's a process, an internal process that we make, and the decision is already made. It's crazy. When I first learned about that the decision is already made before you're consciously aware that you're about to answer the decision, yes or no. That's crazy. And it's because it's not, what makes it hard for people to understand is they think that because the decision that you got to make about something is different, it has nothing to do with the different decisions. The feelings that are brought up during the process, even if making a yes decision will benefit you, the feelings that you have in the first initial process, which is installed by other people, unless you've done this for yourself already, will stop you from being able to move forward. I know it sounds crazy, but I just opened you up to something that you will never be able to go back now that I've opened you up to this knowledge. You will never be able to. You will see things a different way. You may not go through the exercise of installing yourself, but you will know that decisions that you're making, they were installed. It's going to be up to you to make a conscious decision on what you're going to do about it, but you're going to know that you're making decisions based off of what other people installed in you to make decisions. And here's another thing before I close out the video, is that even though you know that someone is doing it to you, it is very hard to resist because you're making a decision subconsciously before you even start to make any decisions consciously. It's already building up. The foundation is already there. The house is already built. The feelings are already going to start to boil up. And so you won't be able to do anything unless you train yourself to do what I just shared with you in this video. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments. I'd be interested in people who decide to do their homework. You never know. Might have a very special surprise for you if you take out the time to really make changes in your life. Thank you for your time. Stephen A. Williams with Making Money with Stephen A. Williams here on YouTube.